All right, so now I'd like to introduce you to our speaker today. Mallory Brown is an associate marketing manager at Glassdoor and has been with the company for over a year now. She's currently deep in the planning process for Glassdoor's 2016 Best Places to Work Roadshow, which will stop in 18 cities in the US and UK starting mid-February through the end of April. In addition to planning Glassdoor's employer branding and recruiting roadshows and events, Mallory manages Glassdoor's webinars and client trainings to help companies showcase their employer brand and optimize their recruiting efforts. So at this point, I'm going to pass it to Mallory to kick things off and go over our agenda.
Thank you so much, Katrina. And before I dive in, hello everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I just want to mention I am battling a bit of a cold, so I apologize for the rasp in my voice and maybe some sniffles in advance. I've got a little bit of a Phoebe Buffet voice going on today, so please bear with me. And again, thanks for joining us. This is a super timely topic. It's really time, we're finally in December. It's December 1. We have about a month to finish up analyzing what really worked for us this year. So many of you on the line are probably deep in the planning trenches right now. You're figuring out how you're going to fight for budget. You're figuring out what initiatives you really care about and think are musts for 2016. So it's my hope that today you'll walk away from the call with a couple of useful tips that you can implement right away to make this process easier and also to hopefully make 2016 a better year for recruiting at your company. So high level, what we're going to cover is analyzing what worked and what didn't. So what kind of data you should probably be examining and how you can apply it, and establishing some benchmarks. Adopting a marketer-first mentality that's going to help you really maintain a competitive edge in 2016. And lastly, optimizing your candidate experience. So making sure that everyone that touches your brand from start to finish feels positive toward it. All right, so we're going to get started. Let's talk data. Let's talk benchmarks. Why is this important? As marketers, we always talk about, we wouldn't be caught dead without data. That's actually a quote from my good friend Kira Federer here at Glassdoor. And the reason she says that is because data helps you do two things. One, it helps you, be nimble, adjust where you need to, and make sure that your strategies are successful and that you're actually moving the needle. And B, it helps you fight for budget. So if you're trying to make a case to higher ups that you need to invest in certain solutions or invest in more recruiters or whatever it is, you need to have data to back it up. And those benchmarks that you're setting now are going to help you understand in the coming year whether or not what you've done has been successful. All right, so comparing your plan versus actual. Data tells a story. So what you should do is take a look at what you achieved in 2015 and understand, did you hit your major hiring goals? Look at it quarterly as well as annually. And also try to figure out, is the data that you've gathered, is that truly showing whether change is working at your company? Do you need to look at different data or proof points moving forward? So if you did hit your overall goals, you can also use that data to your advantage. Maybe you paid for a recruiting solution that didn't really produce a lot of quality hires, or gave you a ton of resumes but not the hires you needed. Maybe that one's not your best option, but perhaps another recruiting tool delivered better quality candidates and maybe you got more hires that way. Maybe double down on that solution. So part of this analysis should be identifying, yes, what worked, but also the pain points and addressing the tools you're going to need in 2016 to be successful. So I know here at Glassdoor, we're still kind of working out what heads we're going to need in the coming year. Not all of that is solidified. So I know that that induces a lot of stress on recruiters and HR teams, but what you can try to do now is anticipate based on 2015 what you think you're going to need. kind of map it out, forecast your onboarding needs, and the tools that you're going to need now, and that way you'll be more prepared as we move into the new year. So if you are kind of leading the charge on decisions, trying to make changes at your organization, maybe change your approach to recruiting, having data to back that up is going to be critical. And you can leverage it wisely to build a case for more recruiting dollars. So one thing I'd like to mention is monitoring the back end of your career site is going to be huge for you. That data is going to be a treasure trove. So if you can, find out what people are clicking on your career site, what content they're engaged with, and then benchmark against that, because chances are somebody at your company can help you get access to that information. Maybe somebody can get you into Google Analytics or just the back end of your website and monitor those trends to your page, and then also understand where incoming traffic is coming from. So don't be afraid to ask for help from somebody. I know that our recruiters do that all the time. They kind of leverage other teams at Glassdoor to help each other out, because in the end, it's all of our success on the line. So use this information, like I said, to see what's working content-wise. Do you have a video that people are really clicking on and loving? Or is the content you're posting not relevant? Figure out where your candidates are coming from. So what devices are they using? How long are they staying? And where are they dropping off of your career site? So you can use this information and really build a case, for instance, for implementing a mobile apply solution. If you're finding that the majority of the people coming to your site are actually coming via mobile and then dropping off at the application page. And then another piece of this is going to be analyzing what your competition's doing. So taking a look at their career site, understanding what kind of content they have there, what the user experience is there, looking at their ratings on Glassdoor, figuring out, is your competition posting jobs in the same places that you are? Are they trying to fill similar roles? And if so, do you have something that you can entice people with that your competition does not have? Say some sort of special benefit or perk or cool thing about the office that you guys have. Does your competition have a strong social presence? If they don't, that's a huge opportunity for your company to get a leg up on them. And then make sure that you're understanding what their compensation and benefits do look like, so that you can determine whether yours are going to be competitive moving into the next year. So here are some things that you probably want to be gathering data on. I'd like to mention that these are going to vary from company to company, and I love this quote here that you'll see, and this is from Jennifer Jones-Newell of Dell. She said, measure what matters based on your company culture and processes. So that's not going to be the same across the board, but maybe focus in on a couple of these data points that you think are going to really show a measure of success for your company. So is it the career site traffic and engagement you're seeing? Is it brand awareness on social media, on sites like Glassdoor? Figure out what's important to your company and then gauge success from there. I know this is a lot. These are a lot of bullet points. It's not meant to overwhelm you. It's meant to just show you, like, hey, these are some proof points that you can kind of tap into and see, what's most important to your particular organization. So for us, I know that, down at the bottom, referrals is a huge data point for us. We just actually published our 2015 recruiting budget on our blog on Glassdoor because we wanted to show people kind of how we went about allocating budget for 2015. So definitely check that out if you'd like. But interestingly enough, 41% of our hires in 2015 were referred. I actually was referred in 2015, interestingly enough. So for us, that's a huge data point because we believe that it's The referral program is helping to maintain our close-knit teamwork environment. That's super pivotal to our culture here at Glassdoor. So that's just an example of something that we kind of measure on, but definitely, get stakeholders in the room and figure out what you guys want to measure and go from there. Establish your benchmarks and make records of it and use it as you go quarterly and annually throughout the coming year. All right, so secondly, I'm going to say, and I'm sure you've heard it before, but adopting a marketer first and recruiter second mentality really does have merits. The saying really does have merits. Applying a sales and marketing mentality to your strategy will keep you kind of 3 steps ahead of the rest. So we know job seekers are behaving today much like consumers. They're consulting online sources, they're doing a lot of research. That comparison makes a lot more sense more than ever. Like if you are a recruiter, you are a marketer, you are marketing. So let's talk about a couple of ways that you can have a competitive edge by thinking that way. Search engine optimization, or SEO. This is all about getting into the mindset of how people search for jobs. So I think we all, can agree the fastest way to find information is through the internet. If you're a job seeker, you're probably going to go to a search engine like Google or something of the sort and type some keywords into the search engine, and Google's going to pull up what it believes are the most relevant results based on whatever search criteria you entered. I don't know about you guys, but how often do you find yourself on or looking past page 2 or 3 of those results? It's probably not often. I know I click on page 2. So what SEO does is it helps improve your measure of relevancy and hopefully therefore, increase the volume and the quality of your candidate traffic. So 3 tips for search engine optimization are use words people actually search for. Use commonplace language. If you're, advertising a job for a customer care role, write customer care manager. Don't write customer care superstar. People aren't searching for the word superstar. They're not searching for ninja. They're not searching for any of those playful words. So just try to use kind of commonplace, plain language that actually speaks to what the role is. That's what people are going to be searching for. Another tip is be specific about skills. So don't be general. If you need a senior software engineer, mention the specific programming languages that individual will need. Don't just leave it at like full Microsoft stack or something along those lines. Be really specific, and that's going to help your search results. It's going to help bump you to the top of search results. And lastly, this is kind of a lesser known tip. Use images in your postings on your career site. Search engines will actually pick up on the file name of those images. So if you label them, if you title them with something specific, like the job title and the location, that's going to really increase the relevancy of those pages, so they'll pop up higher when candidates are searching for jobs. Okay, so next we're going to talk a little bit about, defining your audience. This is another important piece of how a marketer would go about their strategy, and paying attention to the job-seeking habits and the overall values of those you're trying to attract is going to help you target them more effectively. So maybe it's, the hot topic of millennials. Maybe you're looking for nurses. Maybe you're looking for engineers. Maybe you have specific diversity requirements at your company. Figure out what it is you're looking for specifically, and then really tap into that mentality. Find out what matters to these people. So talk to the people at your company already in those roles. Ask them, why they came to work at your company and what helps them thrive there and what keeps them happy there. If you are looking for millennials in 2016, go where they go with your jobs. it's kind of like, a no-brainer, but it's not always so obvious. So, consider scheduling some creative events, maybe at bars or spots that these college students are frequenting, maybe up your university recruitment efforts. Think about tapping into social channels more heavily. So, think about Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. Like, that's what the people are using in that kind of generation. If you're trying to recruit, software engineers, find out where they hang out. Where do they network? Where do they exchange ideas? That could be in online forums, at meetups, and figure out what types of things they like and dislike when being recruited. So all of these different kind of demographics are going to have, there's going to be nuances as to, what their values are. So definitely utilize the people that are already happy and thriving at your organization and use that as a jumping off point. And then speak in the voice of those folks. So it's going to add a lot of authenticity to your company's efforts. Oh, geez. I'm so sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. There we go. Don't you just love it when you have a little reminder pop up mid-webinar? Sorry about that. So where was I? Yeah, add authenticity to your company's recruiting efforts. Get people in the role to maybe help as you're crafting the job description, and put it in kind of the terms that they would understand. Maybe they want to add a testimonial quote from somebody in that job role to the job listing itself. Add videos, pictures to social media that really can be powerful. And lastly, I think it's really important that you help your employees, your current employees, understand that their involvement in this process is really important in the grand scheme of attracting good talent. Because you ultimately want to hire more of them. You want to hire more people like your A players. And that brings me to my next point, which is employee brand ambassadors. So let's see. How do you go about, getting people on board to be an employee brand ambassador? Like I said, I think the explanation piece is super important. I think once you kind of create that connection for people between their participation and your company's ability to attract like-minded, awesome individuals, I think they're going to be a lot more on board. And I've seen that time and time again. So smart, motivated people want to be around other smart, talented professionals. So once they understand the purpose and their kind of role, I think you'll see much better results. And the more you include employees in being a part of developing your company's message, the more likely that they can promote that message to their friends and networks, because they'll really stand behind it. Just a small gesture, but something that goes a long way, is encouraging your employees to wear company gear, to interact on social media, to kind of tout what's going on in their job that's fun, that they really enjoy. Involving your employees in the hiring process can also be a great way to establish some pride in your people and get them excited about helping you do your job. And just an interesting, stat that I wanted to show you all. Employee referrals are the #1 source for quality new hires. And referral candidates are 5 times more likely to get hired than other candidates. So, this employee brand ambassador program is going to be huge for your company if you put it into practice. Your ability to attract referral candidates is going to exponentially increase. And just some tips for you on, how to actually go about creating brand ambassadors at your company. A good example is VMware. So VMware runs social campaigns at their company, and they encourage employees to share what it's like to work there. And this campaign is So authentic and so unlike anything that anybody could duplicate because it's all their own. So they encourage people to post with a unique hashtag they created, and it's hashtag I love VMware. And they encourage employees to share what they love about working there, what they're working on, maybe how they got there. They did another campaign as well where they gave people office mugs with inspirational quotes and had employees post and tell their story. Um, Anybody who is looking for a job at VMware and sees that, I mean, I would be totally endeared. I would be super excited to see real stories from real employees. And candidates want that. They want that inside look, and they want to hear it from the real people doing the job. They don't want to see stock photos. They want real stories and videos and pictures of people working at your company, on your career site, on your social media pages, on sites like Glassdoor. So encourage your people to get involved. Really emphasize the importance of their involvement. Maybe have a leader kind of make an announcement at an all-hands meeting or something that you guys have wrapping up the year, kind of explaining why the employee brand ambassador program, or whatever you guys want to call it internally, why that can be hugely impactful for your business, not only in your recruiting, on the recruiting side, but just the overall success of the company. You can create some incentives if you wish. I know here at Glassdoor we do have, there is a monetary incentive for referrals, but you can do fun, simple things as well. You can do contests. There's a multitude of ways to incentivize people that doesn't involve money. Maybe it's a fun lunch or an excursion with fellow teammates that also referred candidates and had them be hired. Definitely train your brand ambassadors once you've kind of identified who they are. You're gonna want them to be speaking some sort of common language around, how to communicate the values and mission of your company, but also let it be a two-way conversation and let them kind of give their input as to what they think could work. And then make it easy. Maybe do something cool like VMware did with the mug. Create a unique hashtag or something where you can win a prize. This is actually Twitter's unique handle at Join the Flock. It's kind of fun. And they encourage their employees to post here about what they're doing. And so that's another easy way to get people involved. An example from here at Glassdoor is we decided to do a selfie stick competition. So we had everybody, all the teams at Glassdoor took photos with the selfie stick. We all uploaded them to Box, and then our HR team and recruiters chose their favorite photo and posted it at Inside Glassdoor, which is our unique kind of channel for internal Glassdoor brand ambassadors. So let employees be who they are. Let them have fun with this. Maybe let them participate in your career blog or in some social posting. You can obviously still have the final touch on that where you're making sure that the content's appropriate and whatnot, but get them involved and let them be a part of that. And encouraging viral photos and videos. I think we live in a pretty visual culture these days, so really showcasing why your company is a great place to work through video and photo is a wonderful way to entice people to come work for you. Okay, so the third point, kind of a no-brainer, but I think optimizing your candidate experience, now is the time. I think things are pretty crazy right now for everyone, but Q1, everyone's going to hit the ground running and it's going to be even crazier. So let's take a step back and understand what our candidate experience is truly like from start to finish. So I encourage you to go experience your brand as a candidate and really go through each step. And put yourself in the job seeker's shoes, excuse me. So go ahead and Google your company after this call. See what comes up. Read the reviews that are on Glassdoor, and see what you can kind of tease out from those reviews. What would your perception be of your company if the first thing that popped up was a career site that hadn't gotten a lot of love? Figure out what candidates are going to walk away with after experiencing your brand online. And I mean, what is your application process like? What's your interview process like? And what's your follow-up process like? Pull up that career page, pull up your social profiles and your Glassdoor profile and pore over them. And I think that it's a good idea to get some fresh eyes on this stuff. It's hard when you're in it and you've put a lot of love into it to have kind of, I guess, an unbiased opinion of what your actual process is like. So if you're trying to figure out like, oh, my application process has 6 clicks and 3 forms, we have 12 questions, like have somebody else go through that and tell you what they thought. And a good way to do this actually is getting the inside scoop from new hires. So these people are pure gold as far as figuring out what that whole arc of your candidate experience is like, because they just went through it. So ask your new hires what influenced their decision when they were looking at your company and they were figuring out whether they wanted to work for you. What influenced their decision to accept? Were there any barriers or any problems along that road? Were they consulting a lot of online sources? Figure out what the application process was like for them. Was it clunky? Could it be simplified? Did they try to apply via mobile but maybe couldn't? Did the layout, did the number of questions or number of steps affect their experience or create any confusion for them? They might have some helpful insights on how to simplify and streamline. In fact, I guarantee they will. So make sure that you're tapping into the insights from your new folks, and be sure to check out some of your feedback, whether you guys are doing any internal surveying or you're looking at sites like Glassdoor. Check out your interview reviews and make sure you're putting your best foot forward. You need to have kind of a human touch with your candidates. They don't want to speak with a company. They want to speak to a human. So are you guys providing that kind of human touch throughout the process? Are you noticing any trends in those interview reviews that are maybe problematic? So are recruiters potentially not closing the loop? Was there a huge lag time in between communication? Like, figure out what those trends are, because if somebody has a great experience, they may tell 1 or 2 people, but if they have a bad experience, they're probably going to tell far more. So getting ahead of this now is going to be important. And excuse me. The last point that I want to make, and if you've been on a Glassdoor webinar, I'm sure you've heard me or someone else say this many times, but be real with candidates. When you're figuring out, how you want to kind of tailor your candidate experience moving forward, transparency is going to be, transparency is the way of the future. 96% of job seekers say it's important to work for a company that embraces transparency. So without that trust, and you start building that trust right away with candidates, you can't hire effectively, and you won't be able to build a thriving culture. So provide candidates right away with an upfront, accurate preview of what it's like to work at your company. That's going to be really healthy for your company in the end, because people don't expect any company to be perfect. They do expect honesty. So, for instance, when I was looking for jobs and I was, understanding what the reality of working at Glassdoor was, I saw a lot of words like, um, you know, things change on a dime, you know, uh, startup environment, like my project I was working on got dropped, after I'd been working on it for 6 months because we changed directions. And to me, that was super exciting and something I could totally hang with and wanted to be a part of. But for a best friend of mine who's more into like a very structured work life with set hours, that's her worst nightmare. So what I'm trying to get at here is that a job is going to be perfect for someone. It's not going to be perfect for everybody, but you are going to be able to attract the right kind of candidates if you're being honest about what the job is truly like. So maybe you have flexible work hours, but there aren't a lot of, commute options in your area. Talk about whether, maybe explore whether working remotely is an option. Maybe you have super long hours, but the compensation and benefits package is, out of this world. Like figure out what the truth of your company really is, what the experience is at your company, and give it to them straight because the right people are going to want to be a part of that. It's going to build trust. It's going to contribute to your company's overall success. So go ahead and embrace it. And if you need any assistance on how to do that, please reach out to me, and I'd be happy to help. And that's about it that we've got for today. We've wrapped up rather quickly. Again, thanks for bearing with my raspy voice, but I think we'll open up to any questions now. Katrina?
All right. Thank you so much, Mallory. That was wonderful. So let's start with a question from Mike. He said, how does your recruiting budget allocation work? We've been talking about all of the data points that go into making those budget decisions, but what's the outcome? What does it look like?
Unmuted.
Sure, that's a great question. I think I may have mentioned it earlier today, but I'd love to talk about it more. We actually at Glassdoor just published for the second year in a row our recruiting budget for 2015. So we just published that up on our blog. It gives a full breakdown of our source of hires, how we allocated our budget spend as far as job advertising and other components. So if you'd like to shoot me an email, I'd be happy to send you the link to that blog post. My email is mallory.brown@glassdoor.com. If not, if you just type into Google, I think if you just type in Glassdoor 2015 recruiting budget, it should pop up. And you can check out all the details there.
Awesome.
So we just
apologies if anyone had that echo. So we just had a question about on Twitter from Sam about training, how that kind of plays a role in all of this. How is Glassdoor using training to work with people in the new year?
unmuted.
Sure. So I'm not sure whether that's in the vein of training people to be, brand ambassadors or just training in their job roles. What do you think, Katrina? Probably the former.
Let's go with brand ambassadors.
Brand ambassadors.
Okay, sure. That's a great question. Something that I think Glassdoor tries to make an effort to make every employee a brand ambassador, but we do have, for instance, on our sales team, we do have team leads, and they're kind of responsible for carrying the torch and really kind of walking the walk and getting other people at Glassdoor excited about being a part of this culture. And I think our recruiting and HR team does a great job as well of making it really known as far as you know, what our referral program is. They do a lot of email blasts to us. There's posters. They make announcements at our all hands meetings. And they also kind of share success stories about like, hey, so-and-so referred so-and-so, and now they work here and they're loving it. So like little things like that definitely help. Training, I think can differ from company to company based on the size, but I think what we do is we involve our leaders mostly, and we kind of task them with, the leaders of each team, like marketing, sales, engineering. We task them with being kind of the trailblazers of brand ambassadors, and then help get everybody on their team on the same page. So speaking the same language, understanding what our true culture and values are, helping encourage us to do, fun photo contests and things like that. So sometimes it's coming from our HR and recruiting team, but I think they're also delegating to the individual leaders at each team to kind of like make it more of a group effort here at Glassdoor. I hope that helps.
Absolutely. And we have one more question, and this is actually my question. You mentioned that your recruiting team works cross-functionally to kind of gather data and learn more about the site. What kind of questions do they ask?
Unmuted.
Sure. I am one of my best friends actually is on the recruiting team, and we pick each other's brains all the time. I think, we do. I think our recruiting and HR team works really well at tapping other teams at Glassdoor for their expertise. So I actually recently had a conversation with said friend about how we can make our referral program better, and suggested to her maybe instead of just those, email blasts to the company telling everybody like, hey, submit a referral, here are the links, maybe let's share some real world examples of individuals who are doing great at Glassdoor who were referred in, and that will kind of speak louder than an email blast. So I think marketing, the marketing team, we definitely try to help out, and because there's so much crossover between marketing and recruiting, we're kind of on all the same online channels now with social media and all of that, and like optimizing your career page and making sure that you're SEO friendly and all of those pieces. So I think marketing, I think for all of you on the line, like have lunch with your marketing team if you have one, and pick their brain for sure. I know that we're fortunate enough to have people who understand Google Analytics as well and can kind of help us dive into that data a lot. So those are some of the things that I think we do cross-functionally here at Glassdoor. But the other side of it is that at the end of the day, recruiting is sales. So I know that sales shares some of their kind of best practices and vice versa with recruiting. Because at the end of the day, you're selling a company experience. And thanks for that question.
Not a problem. I actually was thinking as you were saying that too, a lot of times we do searches where we'll say SEO for recruiters, job post, candidate experience for recruiting, that kind of thing. And a lot of times if you just swap out the keywords, so for example, if it's SEO for recruiters, you could say SEO for marketers and see what comes up, because I bet, I know you'll get an entirely different set of search results that might be just as applicable. And on that note, I want to really thank you for presenting, giving us your time today, Mallory, and thank you for Glassdoor for giving us the opportunity to host this event and be able to share all of this information.